That's right. That stock moving higher this morning after the company reported its fastest user and revenue growth in over 3 years in the first quarter. This as its investments in content and different technology tools are paying off. The company added 15 million daily active users with growing engagement with its Spotlight content. That's its featured user content, and also a 40% increase in daily engagement with augmented reality lenses. CEO Evan Spiegel saying augmented reality has huge potential to drive e-commerce down the line. The company also shared a bullish advertising outlook despite the potential for Apple's operating system to limit ad targeting, saying they've developed some tools that could help mitigate any potential damage. And the reopening, rather than pulling people off their phones, seems to be driving story posting and engagement with the Snap Map. That is something that analysts see as a potential revenue driver down the line. So with the stock up about 270% in the past 12 months and 73% of analysts having a buyer overweight rating, it seems to indicate that they think the pandemic was a turning point for Snap rather than just a one-time blip with an unusual growth during that limited period. John, Carl?
Yeah. No, we've certainly talked about pull forwards in the past few days, Julia. And then you have sort of the broader macro environment of advertising dollars, which we seem to be getting elevated forecasts for day after day.
Elevated forecast, but Carl, I think the real question is how much Apple's changes are going to impact each of these platforms and impact them differently. Yesterday, we got a pretty copacetic, commentary from Snap that they have different ways of working with advertisers, working with brands. They've been a lot more friendly with Apple than, say, Facebook has. Next week, we're going to hear from Facebook, from Pinterest, and from Twitter, and all of those companies have the potential of having impact from this Apple operating system change. And it seems like Facebook could see the biggest impact. But a lot of these companies expected Apple to roll out that iOS 14 update last quarter. The fact that it's not going to hit until Q2 may be one reason that those first quarter numbers were even stronger than analyst expectations.
Julie, I love how one analyst put the Snap story over the pandemic. He said that it seems to work best in the wild. We've actually seen more engagement since the economy has reopened, unlike what we might expect from a Twitter or Pinterest. So I wonder, does this raise the stake for some of the companies you just mentioned that are up next in terms of their earnings and, questions around whether they can sustain their pandemic gains?
Well, look, Deirdre, these four companies, we talk about them a lot together in terms of all being in the social space, but they are really different. I mean, if you look at Snap, it's about connecting with friends. And what Evan Spiegel said yesterday is that as people get out into the world and they're making new friends, they are going back to connect with them on Snap. Snap also has the potential to really make money from interaction on the Map app as people leave their houses and actually need to refer to a map again. But I think that if you look at Pinterest, it's a very different story because that's a company that's really about connecting people with content that's particularly useful when they're staying at home. So guidance from Pinterest could be very different. I mean, I've used Pinterest a ton during the pandemic, whether it's for recipes or activities to do with kids. The question is, for Pinterest, do people start using that platform for things like planning vacations? That's to be determined, but we'll be hearing a lot about that next week.